Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, 'cause it's root for the home team. They don't win, it's a shame, 'cause it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Welcome to Let's Get To, the baseball podcast from the fans' perspective. Now here's your host, James Christopher.
And welcome everyone to Let's Get To. Before I take the mask off, I have to show you the outfit. I've got the Hawaiian shirt and mask, matching Hawaiian mask. We are out here at Sugar Land Skeeters, Constellation Energy League, for their Jimmy Buffett night. So not only am I repping Jimmy Buffett, the parrot head himself, but drink in the Eastern Reyes del Tigres t-shirt, complete with sunglasses and earring and mullet. It's beautiful, but we have a great show for you today. This is actually a very exciting week for us. This is our 100th episode celebration. We're going to be coming to you with 3 different episodes this week, part 1, part 2, part 3. I'm a filmmaker. I can do this any way I want to, but it has been an incredible 2 years so far of running this show. The idea that we hit 100 episodes has been amazing. It's so much to do with all the people who love baseball, the fans of the show, the people that keep coming on. So we got a great episode for you. I'd tell you who's going to be on it, but I want that to all to be a surprise. So stay with us, and I think you're going to have a great time as we look back on the very brief but pretty cool history of Let's Get To.
On deck, the Let's Get To interview.
Stop nodding. You're nodding. Little Wayne's World, member? Guys, you're nodding. All right, so we are excited to be joined for, unfortunately, his first appearance, co-owner of Let's Get To, my brother-in-law, my best friend on the planet, Nathan Bybee. Nathan, how's it going, man?
Doing great. I'm so glad to finally be on the show in video. I've been on in audio, but not in video.
You were on like a third of the episodes last season, but this is the first time on the web stuff. And wow, the corona, you really grew a lot of hair. Oh, that's right. You had long hair.
I haven't been out of the house in months.
But that's interesting is, we actually are going to have Ken Robertson on the show a little later on, who you were supposed to meet because he was going to be with us in San Antonio that first week. That didn't happen. Looking at baseball in the microcosm, but also everything else that you also enjoy not being able to do, how has it been just sort of adapting to this new reality?
It's been frustrating in many, many ways. It's frustrating to be cooped up. It's frustrating not to have life go on as normal. It's frustrating to see people or events that seem to exacerbate the problem. And it's challenging when we're at a back to school time. I don't have kids, but a lot of people that do. And of course, a lot of people in my family are teachers. And I think it's very convenient to focus on, caseloads of kids and everything's going to be okay. And in reality, those kids are interacting with a lot of other kids who are interacting with a lot of other adults, and the cycle goes on. And I guess we're just going to see. That's scary for the people we know that are involved, like you, in education, scary for the kids. We're heading in now to, an election season that's it's like taking a contentious situation and adding gasoline to it.
Yeah.
And then the fallout has been widespread for all sports and entertainment. So we talk about baseball a lot on this show, but football's in jeopardy. And
you're a season ticket holder at UT, and you basically...
the UT called and said they wanted to go to 50%, and did we want to participate? And the answer is no. That's still 50,000 people in a very crowded stadium. And I know they're going to space it out and all of that. And I think maybe they're going to try to go down to 25, and we'll see. I mean, I want to get back to normal too. I don't want to put people at risk to try a bunch of like things that might work and hope that something sticks. But, the other thing, of course, is, we're both heavily involved with the Austin Revolution Film Festival. And like many other events, we've had to make that tough decision to say, we've got to postpone. And we're trying our darndest not to cancel, and there's no plan to do that. And we're going to have it in March. As long as people will cooperate and get this thing done with.
Get this thing taken care of. No, but it's funny. And I want to double back to the UT thing before we talk about, our show's mission on this one, because we have a football show that we're hoping to launch, would be a little bit different, much more X's and O's, and therefore dependent on games. But, you are always of the partnership between us. You are the guy that sees the details. And when I first heard 25, 50% in DKR, I'm like, well, yeah, it's 115,000 people. You can spread that out, or that's how much it seats or whatever it is. And then you reminded me with hallways that were designed 70 years ago.
Right. And the bathrooms, don't forget the bathrooms. I mean, you and I have both been in there. They're like, they're cinder blocks and troughs,
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in a small space.
So a lot of, one of the things, though, you talked about ARF, and we have had this mission, but we also didn't cancel this show. And it was always the thing that we were going to, and in fact, the demand for us to have people on made it go to 2 episodes a week. I mean, how important do you think that's been, that we still tried to bring some baseball? Or do you think it matters? I mean, what do you think about all of what we've tried to do?
I think it matters a lot. And I think it's been intriguing because this show has focused on an element of baseball that is suddenly thrust into the limelight with coronavirus. I mean, it's not obviously, who in the world could have possibly planned for any of that. But in many ways, this was the kind of baseball this show covers is the only baseball that was going on.
Yeah.
And I think that you had a lot of drama. I don't know if you've heard there's been a lot of controversy in the major leagues lately.
What?
So, there was a lot of sort of upheaval again in the midst of a chaotic year. A chaotic baseball scene. And there was a lot to talk about in terms of, the Astros. There was a lot to talk about in terms of whether baseball was going to get played. Is it safe? Can we bring fans in? That all is important stuff. But what has survived and what is actually being done is local small independent baseball in smaller markets. And the fact that we had kind of tapped into that a couple of years ago or a year or so ago.
Yeah.
We did it because that's what makes baseball fun. Right. And I mean, not that the major leagues isn't fun, but it's a business. And it's somewhat untouchable. It only exists in some of the biggest cities in the country. So the kind of baseball we covered is what makes the game fun. It's what makes it relatable to everybody. And it just so happens that in a coronavirus world, that was the only game in town for a while.
It was interesting because, for background for the people that are watching that don't know, like, again, you're one of the smartest dudes I know. And you are the epitome of playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers and I'm flipping a coin. But it's been interesting to watch what some of these small communities that Jessica and I have been out to. They're not taking it seriously. They're just, because I think they're small businesses, they can pivot differently than what 30 Major League Baseball things can do. And it seems like it's a weird, America usually is working its best when small independent run businesses are making changes.
And I think that you hit on this in an interview not too long ago with Andy Tom Chesson, where y'all were talking about, sort of the state of the game, I think right before we were trying to get the season started back in July. And he talked about this sense of regionalism and bringing a sense of regionalism back to the game. And I think that's what makes it personal, and that's what people love about it. And it's what you get, that player identification, and the fact that they're small businesses and they can pivot and they're doing a lot of things that are creative marketing wise. so, you know, you focus a lot, for example, on the merchandise, and the merchandise is a lot of fun. That's a branding kind of thing, but it's, and it generates some interest, but it's not what is, I think, really bringing people in is that sense of community and the sense of being there. And, they do it better than anybody because they have to.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, in the interview you had the other day, it was kind of highlighting the contrast between that and the way, say, Major League Baseball has functioned. And so I think as tough as it is right now, that's going to endear a lot of people to it and continue to build that relationship.
You know, where do you think, you know, because this was supposed to be a busy summer for both of us. We had Def Leppard tickets. You had given us Def Leppard tickets, which I actually watched a concert I bought just so I could watch Def Leppard that night. Damn it. Like, I don't care. Rona, you can't stop me from getting my hysteria on. But like, do you see a day when we're going to be able to pack 110 into, like, is it as simple as we have a vaccine? Or do you think that we're going to see changes? You know, it's weird because after 9/11, we talked about this after it happened. You never thought it was going to change the world as much as everyone else did. And outside of getting on an airplane, I don't think it has. Mm-hmm. What about this particular event?
Sadly, I think it's probably going to change things more for a lot of unfortunate reasons. And that has to do with the level of kind of mistrust and polarization we have right now. We can't even agree on basic reality of numbers. There's so much mistrust. I mean, people talk about a vaccine. Half the population is not going to take a vaccine from the government. I mean, half of them don't believe it's real in the first place. Why do they even need a vaccine? They're sure not going to take a vaccine from the government they don't trust. So there's the other really, really important difference right now is right after 9/11, there was a sense of national unity and a sense of national purpose and a sense of national pride.
Bipartisan national unity.
National. And when I mean national, I mean everybody. Like it was, it's not like that now. We're under attack by a very different kind of enemy. And there is no the unified sense of purpose. There's so much mistrust. I don't see how a vaccine really helps that. I don't know. I hate to sound all gloom and doom. It's hard for me to see in that environment how you get to a point where you're comfortable, or at least a sizable percentage of the population is comfortable being in a crowded space to enjoy a show or a baseball game. That's unfortunate. And I don't know if it has to come to, it's just going to have to run its course and play out. And what's going to happen is what's going to happen. And that's completely pointless in my opinion and reckless. But barring that, I don't know how people trust. It seems like 50% of people want to trust a completely different reality 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And in that environment, it's hard to see where people just suddenly come to a point where everybody just says, yeah, it feels normal again, or it feels okay to be in, in a packed 100,000 seat stadium in Austin, for example. What does that mean for the country? I don't know. Does it mean things do get smaller? Does it mean they get more dispersed and become more regional? Hard to imagine in a TV market kind of world we live in too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess even the dominance of TV is being challenged right now because there's nothing to watch. So.
We're going to run into nothing to watch. Like,
there's tons to watch, obviously. But I mean, in terms of like going to a game, it's become easier if you happen to be in, say, a pod city, or, in an area that has an independent league. It's easier to go to a small game and get, 10 or 15 feet of clearance around you and enjoy a game than it is to find something on TV. Well, I mean, baseball has started, NBA has started, but I mean, there's a period of time where nothing was going on.
Yeah. No, that was awful. I guess as we wrap up, to turn on a good note, 100 episodes. I wanted to kind of think about share what your favorite moment from Let's Get To that you were a part of so far, because I've seen a couple of little boy Nathan, that being on the field at Dell Diamond for the first time. You were a kid, man.
That was awesome. That's fun. Well, I'll say this. It's a culmination of experiences that I actually now haven't experienced. And one of the things that struck me is, as the show has evolved, when we first started out, it was a lot of, say, you and me, or you and Jessica, or you and somebody going to a ball game. And we focused primarily on the podcast element. So we were a little more focused on audio than, say, even the video and the pictures. When we would go to those games, it was such a fun experience to walk a stadium, to study the pictures of the former players that in an individual town would have celebrated, or this major league player happened to play a few games there, and the promotions that they did, and the different foods that they have, and those were my favorite experiences of the show, but I actually experienced them. What I think the show has begun to do is to really capture the feeling of that kind of a trip virtually, where now I see you going to more games. You're doing the video, you're focused more on the video. So you've got you've got shots of the games, you've got shots of the stadiums, the shots of the promotions. I'm sorry, you got a Budweiser on the mystery beer.
I was so mad.
I knew when you reached your hand and I was like, he's going to pull out a Budweiser. I know it, but, and I hope he knows that, but it's the being able to experience those kinds of things is what makes baseball fun. And when you can't travel the country, you capture that virtually in a way where it's like, yeah, I know exactly what that feels like. And it's a lot of fun, and nobody really portrays that element of the game very well. And so that, I think, has been the most fun for me watching the show evolve. Is it's really capturing that sense of what it's like to be there.
Holler and a Swaller, a chug of ballpark brew, presented by The Hitter Sports.
All right, before we jump into Holler and a Swaller, truth be told, this is our second take. I took one Holler and Swaller down into the old esophagus.
Well, he hollered, but didn't quite swallow.
I didn't swaller.
Oh my God.
We are here with my brother Tim, one of the creators of Let's Get To, and we are here for your Holler and Swaller segment, where our focus on ballpark brews. Tim, what are we drinking?
I've got the summer pills from St. Arnold's right here in Houston, Texas. It's just a German-style Hells. It's really nice. It's one of their oldest seasonals. It's really delicious.
St. Arnold's is a great brewery, again, right here local to Houston, Texas. Also local to Houston, Texas, I've got Eighth Wonder's Dome Fauxm. And I want to say, anybody that's in Houston, you got to make visiting this brewery part of your itinerary. It's just a love affair and a love letter to 70s Houston sports. And we've learned that this is a cream ale.
Yeah, it's a cream ale.
It's a cream ale. So we're going to send this out again to our good buddy in New York, the Hitter Sports. Holler and a Swaller, baby.
Holler and a Swaller.
Ting. Don't look ridiculous.
Do I chug it?
The Hitter chugs his, and I'm like, God, why? It's good beer.
It's good beer. I don't want to ruin that.
Who's on first? The Let's Get To Local 9. Brought to you by Zoomer Sport.
So we are back on with one of our favorite guests, Mr. Erik Mertens, also known as Erik the Peanut Guy. Hey. Erik, how are you, man? Look at this positive energy coming into 2020. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, we need more positive energy. And James, I just want to, seriously, I want to thank you. You had me on your show a few months ago before the pandemic hit. And I listened to a few of your episodes before then. I was a fan. But since you had me on and since everything got shut down, I've been listening religiously, which is ironic because I work in ministry. I've been listening religiously to every episode because I haven't been able to go on ballpark road trips. And so I'm living vicariously through you. So thank you for doing us a service. I know a lot of people would agree with me on that.
Well, thank you for saying that. It does mean a lot. And, it's been a weird 2020 because, I had laid out my 2020 trip and it felt very major league heavy, and causing this meant I had to really look to find some incredible communities I never would have found. And it's been the best part of that.
Man, well, I can't thank you enough for sharing it with us, because I've met a lot of cool people just listening to your interviews.
Well, thank you very much. Let's talk a little bit about what's behind you. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to point to, and I want you to give me the story. Yeah. The one next to the Rocket City Trash Pandas. Which one is that one? That was at the Flame? Yeah.
Yeah. This is the Bowling Green Hot Rods from Kentucky. Okay. And this is about 1/4 of my hat collection. You can't see the rest of my bedroom right now, but every single one of these hats is a ballpark I visited. And my mom and I visited Bowling Green 2 summers ago after we met up with her aunt, who she hadn't seen in decades, who lived in Tennessee. So when I look at this hat, I think of my mom and my extended family out there in Tennessee and Kentucky.
I love all that. Well, I want to talk a little of your extended family. You have 2 big sports families. So tell everybody your connection. Obviously, Tri-City. Tell everybody a little bit about, real quick, your sports connections.
Yeah. Well, I grew up a big Mariners fan, long-suffering Seattle Mariners fan up here in Washington State. And then 20 years ago, when the Dust Devils came to the Tri-Cities, I started working with them, and I'm still with them to this day, some of my best friends. And then I don't know if you were referencing this, but during the off season, as I say, my off season school year job, I work at Gonzaga University. Yeah. So go Zags. How
has it been, your connection with Gonzaga and your connection with Tri-City? Those are very much extended families, I have to imagine. How has it been sort of trying to be because you're like one of the most positive guys I know. I mean, do you feel like you've got to do that to be there for this extended family of yours, to make sure that they all stay positive?
I do. I mean, if we can get real here for a second, it's been a tough summer for all of us. I just mentioned with you, I just got back from the doctors. I'm experiencing some anxiety that I never have before. That's manifesting physically. And I thought at first I had something really bad going on with my health, my physical health, and I still might be. They're still trying to figure stuff out. But I've known more and more people this summer who are usually pretty positive people going through a lot of crap. And so, yeah, I personally have been leaning on those families. I mean, I've been on the receiving end of a lot of that love and positivity. I just hung out with Daryl Ebert, the general manager of the Tri-City Dust Devils, and Ann and Trevor and Brent and Riley and all the other great people in the front office the other day. That was my first time back at our ballpark all summer. And that did me a world of good. So hopefully I can give a little bit of that back. I'm active on Twitter. I'm active on Instagram, kind of. Yeah. And I try to share a lot about minor league baseball, but also just about love and life and hope. So hopefully that's coming through.
It absolutely is. I mean, when I see you, it puts me in a better mood. And I have dealt with that a little bit myself. What a weird direction this is turning, but it's fine. I think it's good that we can be real, because I think people look at us to be cheerleaders, but we've got stuff. And I've been dealing with PTSD related panic attacks for about the last 2 years, where I just will wake up terrified. And I do feel like part of what pushed me into go finding other ballparks, even was just like, I had to get out of this routine because I wasn't sure I'd survive it. And I think it sounds dramatic, but it felt that way.
Yeah, 100%. I didn't know that. I'm really sorry to hear that.
It's a thing. And, we all have our stuff, and we all carry it forward. And I do think that is why I try to cultivate because everybody on Twitter, right? There's your real version and then your Twitter persona.
Yeah.
And I always try to be like positive and nice, because I think people have so much else going on that me trolling somebody and being a jerk, what does that do for anybody?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard of the 4 levels of happiness, but
I haven't. No.
It's Aristotle came up with this years ago, and then Christian philosophers have built upon it. And so it's something I use in my ministry work at Gonzaga. But the first level of happiness is all about like instant gratification. Like, it tastes good, I'm going to eat it, or it feels good, I'm going to do it. The second level of happiness is all egocentric. It's all ego gratification. And then levels 3 and 4 are relational with others and with God. And man, trolls on Twitter just live on that level too. And it's so depressing because you see everyone as an enemy. You always have to be defensive.
Yeah.
What a horrible way to live. And I say that, but I find myself on that level every now and then. If someone smack talks Kyle Lewis, get ready.
Well, first of all, I would just like Kyle Lewis to stay out of Houston, Texas for a while.
He's going to be there tomorrow.
I know. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what connections I have with HBD to put, I don't know, some kind of travel ban on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be nuts. But what's weird about these trolls is a lot of times what I'll do is I'll engage them via direct message, and they end up being really nice people, and we end up striking up friendships. And it's like, then why? Why not? It doesn't compute. But I was thinking about you and how tied you are to Tri-City in minor league baseball. What is it going to be like for you? June, if we're back to normal and you get to finally get back to a ball game, can you even put that into words?
I can't. I got really emotional when I was out at the ballpark the other day, and it was just me and my friends from the front office out at Geesa Stadium in the Tri-Cities. And it was like a spiritual healing moment. And again, that might sound dramatic, but it's the real stuff. I feel for our fans, we have some amazing fans. Our ballpark just got voted the best ballpark for a short season, single A level. Thank you for your help voting and spreading the word. But that's a fan vote, and that speaks to our fans. That's the third year in a row we've won that. And so they're hurting this year without Dust Devils baseball. And I can't wait for the first game back. And hopefully we can hug people then, because it's going to be tough trying to hold me back.
Yeah. Because, I mean, that's the other thing we have in common is that we both work in education, and our plan is we start online Wednesday of next week, and then we're going to maybe go hybrid a couple weeks later. I don't know how I'm not supposed to do that. Like, how am I supposed to socially air fist bump? Like, I don't know how to do that.
Seriously, I don't either. I've been doing elbow bumps.
Yeah.
But that's kind of weird. I just have to share something real quick.
Please.
Talking about positivity and love and hope. I feel like I've gotten more working for the Dust Devils than I've given, because the reason they had me out at Geesa Stadium last week was to unveil a surprise. They're going to put on social media here soon, but they built a life-size bobblehead out of me. And it's sponsored by First Step Community Counseling, which are great friends. And so this sponsor and the Dust Devils came together, and I'm 6'1", and it's taller than me.
So do I get to use the breaking news sound for this part of the show? Yeah, whatever it is. Wow.
Yeah. And so
you had no idea?
No idea. And that just shows you the kind of people in the Tri-Cities, because the front office staff and the game day staff are on equal level with the fans. I mean, it's a huge family, and they do things for the fans, and the fans do things for us. We do things for the players, and the San Diego Padres, our affiliate. And it's just this really cool relationship. So when you asked what it's going to be like in June of next year, knock on wood, again, I feel like I might be getting more than I'm giving, but I'm going to try to give it right back.
Well, we just added a Let's Get To road trip to the schedule. We will be out to see that bobblehead, man. My wife already wants to meet you, so now we're just going to come out there and do it. I wanted to tell you about something, and it's something that happened. So I don't know if you saw on the show a couple weeks ago. We took my granddaughter to her first game. We took her out to see the Pickles.
Yeah,
and there was a moment where I was watching my grandson, who's 3, and he's like sitting on the bleachers, leaning forward like this on the game. and just like, and you know, he doesn't know what's going on yet, but it was just like, it's happening for him. And that's going to be, it was just one of those, like,
wow,
one of those moments.
What a beautiful moment. Did you tweet out that picture?
I think I did. Yeah, I think I did actually. Yeah.
Okay.
But just got caught in that moment of just watching him watch the game, and, you know, in all this craziness, and the fact that like Kennedy was born and we didn't get to meet her for 3 months. And because of all this, I feel like, you know, I know it's going to get pretty sporty up until November.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we're going to be okay.
Yes.
I think so.
I believe so too.
So we actually have another surprise coming for you.
Jeez.
We do our Let's Get 2 awards.
Oh yeah.
And you are going to be winning a Let's Get 2 award.
What?
So we will be doing the official announcements next week.
Man,
it's not as cool as a life-size bobblehead. Look at the talk about this. I don't know.
I had no idea.
Yeah. It is our baseball spirit award.
Oh, whoa. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, James.
That's why you're on the show.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. That means more than you might think it does.
Well, you know, I hope it does. I hope you realize, like, I don't know. You know, I love that Ken was like, you got to reach out to Erik because he's the best guy, and he was completely right. So thank you so much.
Shout out to Ken.
Shout out to Ken. So real quick before we wrap up, just, I don't know, do you feel good about the direction that we're going with sports? And I know like Gonzaga maybe will they have basketball canceled again? I mean, how's that going to go?
That'd be bad. Up until this past week, we were ranked number 1 preseason, in the way too early, you know.
Right.
So who knows? But we have some great transfers coming in, some great commits. Man, I've been talking with my mom recently too, because I'm a planner. I like to get excited about things. I like to put things on the calendar, wrap my mind around it, and be like, all right, things are going to be okay. And so for me, I've been thinking, man, as soon as we can get a vaccine, they're talking about early 2021, maybe wintertime, springtime. But if there's anything the past 5 months have taught me is that who the heck knows? Like,
who the heck knows, right?
I don't want to set myself up for disappointment. But when I think about your grandson at the Portland Pickles game, and when I think about my friends with the Tri-City Dust Devils, and how I'm trying to spread love to others, and how you do this on a daily basis with your work and your podcast and everything else you do. Yeah, we're going to be fine. You know, this too shall pass. And 2 years from now, hopefully there will be changes. We know that, but hopefully we'll be back to living life and going on ballpark road trips and making new memories.
Show me the merch. The best from the pro shop.
And welcome to Show Me the Merch. We are back, and we've got some great looks from one real team and one, boy, I wish it was a real team. So first we're going to start with the team that's real. A few weeks ago, I had put out a thing on Twitter that said the first team that responds to this, blah, 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 buy some gear. And to be honest, I meant to set some parameters that I did not set. One of those being that I would have preferred that it not be a team whose branding mirrors the parent club. I think minor league baseball works best when the brands are unique to the culture. I'm not interested in the Staten Island Yankees, but the Pizza Rats I would be interested in. So I didn't set that parameter, and I got an immediate the Salem Red Sox. And I started to think, what am I going to do? Do I be polite? You know, whatever. So I moseyed, I even sashayed over to the website and didn't realize I did not have to make a single excuse. So let's start with the ball cap. I got their St. Bernard look for their Copa de la Verzion. I love everything about the cap, the design to it. It's got that very Latinx flavor. And those of you who follow the show know I'm a sucker for any dog logo, period. I also really liked their, hey, this is how we're adapting to 2020. They were one of the first ones that I saw do it. And I like the fact that it was a little less jaded and a little more, hey, it is what it is. And so I thought one of the most clever things they did was their 2020, the longest spring training ever t-shirt, because it feels like spring training. It's major league debuts every 5 seconds. And then, of course, their Salem Red Sox 2020 undefeated season shirt. So check out the Salem Red Sox. If you're a Red Sox fan, all the more power to you. Get some of that stuff. But they also have stuff that really just dives into their identity as being from Salem. Take this opportunity to do a shout out to friend of the show, Melanie Newman, who used to be the play-by-play voice for the Salem Red Sox. Now, on to the team that's not so real, but boy, I wish they were. A few weeks ago, we had Hartwell Studios on, and their North Pole Reindeers brand, and they do a holiday league with different brands, and we went ahead and invested in a couple of shirts. Now, this is pretty cute. It is the main logo tee for the North Pole Reindeer. Who doesn't love Rudolph with a baseball bat? Those of you who follow the show know that I am a sucker for Christmas and Christmas tied to baseball. Easy sale. What I also thought was clever is the official t-shirt for the ballpark the reindeer play in. And it is the frosty confines of Nicholas Field, the frosty confines. Obviously a reference to the friendly confines. So a couple of great brands. I know that the Rudolph stuff is not necessarily on sale now, but it does come up periodically. And we've talked to the designer from Hartwell, and he's talked about having some of the other looks and other holiday looks open as well. So hopefully we'll get some of those out soon. And of course, the Salem Red Sox. You know, you guys, we know minor league baseball is in trouble after going a whole year without games. So if you are a fan of minor league baseball or a fan of the Red Sox, mosey over to the website and check it out and buy some stuff, because you're not just helping a faceless large corporation, you're helping small businesses. And we really need to be doing that right now.
From the Bleachers, the Let's Get To Game of the Week. Brought to you by Fine Line Sportswear.
And so we are here from the Bleachers. We are back here at the Constellation Energy League. We are, halfway through game 2 of our doubleheader. We're here off with Scott on my right and Tim on my left. And it's kind of cool because it's our 100th episode this week. And these are the guys that started the show with us. First of all, Tim, how are you?
Well, thank you for asking. I had a great time. Haven't been to the park in a while, so it's good.
Good. And Scott, your first time overall, what did you think of the park?
Yeah, it's just as hot as I expected it to be, but it's a dry heat. Not really. No, it's built on a swamp. No, it's a great ballpark. It's larger than your average independent league park for sure. There's a great setting. It's got all the amenities that you would expect from a major league park or an upper echelon minor league park. And the field itself is really cool, too. And we just saw a bomb that went out onto the street, so that makes my life great.
Yeah, maybe we'll find it after we're done.
I think it hit that car.
Yeah. Tim, overall impressions of just watching these 7-inning doubleheaders, first time you've done it?
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. It's really competitive. It's a good way to watch baseball.
What did you think about the home run derby to end extras?
Yeah, no, I love that. I think it's interesting. I'm a fan of hockey, so I like shootouts, so...
You don't, but you are a fan of hockey.
I would rather see a runner on second base to start the inning and let's play the game rather than watching who can hit the farthest home run and the guy who hit the home run. It doesn't even count because it didn't go far enough over the yellow line. No.
Okay, wow.
No, I don't like it.
We have dealt with it. So we did start the show together. Scott's still very much on air. Tim, you're now more behind the scenes. What has been some of your best part of being part of this show for 100 episodes?
It's interesting, the growth. And I kind of saw it coming when we decided to do this, and to watch the growth of the show happen and all the segments build and the personalities that have come along. It's been a really fun ride to watch that. And it's awesome. I can't wait to see what comes next.
I think the coolest part is watching how many other people in the minor leagues have gotten interested in joining this, or fans that have gotten interested that are really into this. You know, it's like, it's one thing. Sorry, but I knew that was close. That was really close.
We're live baseball.
So that was off the So the game's
real fast and none of us die.
Right behind us. Anyway, let's watch Scott die on camera. No, but I think it's really fascinating to watch how many. It's one thing to set up and go, "Hey, we're going to do this podcast. Hey, we're going to do this."
Yeah.
And then to people really watch it. That's good. Listen to it. That's been the coolest part, is watching how many people get into it and how many connections you've now made with the people that you know within the minor league system. It's been really cool. No,
I think we had a cool moment too, because we're recording this Saturday night. I don't know when the episode's going to drop, probably Monday, but the Astros for the first time won 3 in a row. And I got to share my favorite GIF, which is Orbit streaking. The number of people who are not Astros fans, but are fans of our show, liking the tweet was kind of cool. It was like, that's pretty neat. So,
yeah, it's kind of cool. Also, it's the day that the Cardinals got to start playing again, and we swept the doubleheader. Sorry. When you've been waiting for your team to play for 15 days, you get giddy.
About anything, yeah.
But I had no doubt it was developing into something like this. Not even watching drones. Yeah, how big it's becoming. It's really great.
Ladies and gentlemen, please adjust your scorecards. We have a special guest in the lineup.
So we are excited to welcome to Let's Get To one of my favorite baseball fans to talk to, Don Gillingham, who is a fan of the show. Don, how's it going?
It's great, Jim. This is like a big thrill for me. This is like getting ready to throw out the first pitch or standing on the field during batting practice, and you just watch people go by. You know, I'm wondering, like, is Andy going to duck in or something? You know, is Scott somewhere lurking in the thing? Because I've grown up with you guys from the beginning. When you used to be on with your brother talking about your dad, I'm probably like your dad's age. You know, things my dad hates about the game today. I'm thinking, that's me. I can't stand guys being friends by the batting cage. You're supposed to hate the opponent.
We need to change it to things Don hates about baseball.
There you go.
Tell me a little bit about, you had some stuff you wanted to talk about, but tell me a little bit about just how much baseball means to you.
So I've always been involved in baseball. I'm in my office and somebody stepped by. My dad loved the game. In my mind, my dad and Pete Rose, I never saw them in the same room. They're the same guy, except my dad was too cheap to gamble. I mean, dirty uniform. My dad used to tell a story all the time. He used to play for a team called Bud Wheel. There used to be industrial leagues. You know, I love baseball. Ken Burns, when it's on, when he talks about all the teams that had their little local teams. So my dad played in this industrial league, and the scouts used to come by and do traveling tryouts. So they'd put guys through their paces 3-4 days, a couple hundred guys, and you'd see them go home almost like a league of their own. You know, when they have the tryout at Wrigley Field and some of the girls go home and then some. So my dad made it all the way to the last day. Now, I don't know if he's telling the truth. He's my dad, so I just believe him. But he says that they were telling him, you know, you ought to be able to sign. You know, you can't live on this. You're not going to make as much as Bud Wheel. We'll put you in D-ball. And some guy, and my dad's telling the story, came from Michigan State and opened up a scrapbook, hadn't been there the whole time. Yeah, I played college baseball and I did this and I went here and I did that. They had a limit of the number of contracts they could sign at each spot. So they offered this guy from Michigan State my dad's contract.
Oh, no.
He was like totally upset the whole time. And so he just filled the game with passion. And you had to play with fire. So when I was 5 years old, it was really something, you know. And later when I got to be coaching, I had an interview for the job that I'm having right now. And they said, hey, you know, we heard you got a temper. And I go, well, I don't have a temper. I don't know why you'd say that. When you coach, yeah. You ever been kicked out of a game? I started giggling. I said, 31 times. They go, 31 times? I said, well, I coached 32 years. And I'm kind of giggling about it and smiling. I go, it's baseball, right?
Yeah.
And I found out from the headhunter afterwards, I almost lost the job that day.
Oh, no.
So we're roaming around the building and we run into the head baseball coach who I know. And I say, hey, Neil, you know, you've been coaching 29 years. How many times you been thrown out? Never. I go, yeah, you couldn't coach for me. You don't have the passion. You couldn't coach for me. So
I think less than once a year is good. That's pretty good, I think.
So my dad instilled that. And I used to go to him. Our family, we had a big family. My dad, my grandma Gillingham had 18 births. And 4 of them didn't leave the hospital. 4 died in a hospital fire or in a house fire. But the family used to play softball. Uh-huh. And when I was too little, I would go and watch the softball games. And you know, every once in a while, we wait in the parking lot so my dad could discuss the game with the umpire afterwards. And so ever since I was little, I've just loved the game. My mom was early woman's person. You know, you go back into the middle 60s and she coached the Little League baseball.
Uh-huh.
It's been the glue that holds together our family. When I saw Field of Dreams the first time, I was not thinking that was his dad. And I broke down. I can't believe that. That's me and my dad. We didn't get along. We argued about Carter giving away the Panama Canal. I know nobody will know what I'm talking about. So baseball has been the connection from my dad to me, to my kids, and it's generational. Isn't Terrence Mann, right? The one constant.
Yeah.
Been destroyed and torn down and built up again, and there's always baseball. So I'm kind of looking forward to post-pandemic, the growth of collegiate leagues.
Yeah.
Rockford, Illinois, where I live, has a great history of baseball. Albert Spalding grew up just outside of town and played for Rockford when it was a professional major league. Goodbye, Mr. Spalding. He played here. A league of their own was set in this area. So there's a great history and tradition here, and we now have a collegiate league team. And I think that's going to happen more and more because in our media market, they're going to cover the collegiate league. And that's going to happen all over the country. And I think you're going to see kind of a return to what Ken Burns was talking about when Pocatello had their own team and all of the fancy names. They had the special names that reflected who they were, the Freeport Pretzels and such. So baseball's been a part of my life forever.
You know, it's interesting did you say that. I don't know if you caught Andy's bit about that about 2 weeks ago, but that's the future he sees too. He can see Major League Baseball maybe even crumbling on itself, but the game isn't going to die. It's just going to spring up and become more regional.
Yeah, and when I was listening to the show, and there was just a quick message about the integration of players in the pickles, right? Mm-hmm. So they have college players and they have professional players who are on loan, and they fill out the roster with high school kids. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is like a dream come true, right?
Yeah.
You play in the collegiate league, you get on a bus, you ride the bus, you think you're in Bull Durham, you play your guitar on the bus and you're holding the curveball. And you get to live that. So I think the post-pandemic time is going to feed the dreams. And when you talk about Andy and feeding, I want to get back at some point to that Italian restaurant theme you guys had, which was fantastic. That was fantastic.
Well, we were getting really, really weird. Yeah, that was one of my favorite ones. But it's funny. You and I were talking when we thought just online when the season got canceled. It has meant more to me to get to go to baseball this year, more than I think it's ever meant, because like every game I'm at, I'm like, all right, this might be the last one for the year, so I'm going to soak up everything. I'm even going to teach myself to keep score. I've never done that before, and I'm going to do it on Saturday for the first time, and we'll have some sequences for the show through that. But it really has meant the world.
Well, my daughter could teach you because that's what I gave to my daughter. She kept score for the high school team, and when we would travel around the country, each of the kids would get a trip. I went to see Montreal before they closed with the boys, and then we went to Kansas City to see Cal Ripken break the streak of the Japanese all-time streak player. And then my daughter and I were at Bull Durham, or at the Durham Bulls, and she kept score. It's really part of the game, and it goes away. We got to do that. We got to teach people the intricacies of the game. Mickey Mantle said, you play the game your entire life, and you always learn something new.
Yeah, we were actually watching the game last night, Jessica and I, or last week when this thing drops, and she's like, I've been watching baseball all my life, and you always see something, a little bit of a strategy that maybe you never saw before. You know what it was, actually? It was Dusty Baker bringing in a new pitcher and assigning the intentional walk to him. That way he counted toward his three batters. And I was like, you're 72 years old, and you have figured out an angle that maybe a lot of people hadn't.
The complexity of the game is something that's lost on some people. I'm not technically a fan. I actually have 5 teams in each league that I root for. So in the American League, this is a Oakland A's mustache. Oh. So you can tell Stu, this goes all the way back to the Oakland A's. And I was kind of torn being from Detroit in 72 when the Tigers played the A's. I didn't know who to root for. And then when I saw Bert Campaneris throw the bat at Laren LeGros, I go, this is a blood sport. I'm staying neutral. So I got the Tigers. I got the A's. I lived in suburban Chicago. I got the White Sox. I grew up as a Yankee fan to some extent. When the Tigers were eliminated, the Yankees, I was 7, 1960, and I had just discovered baseball. And at the end of the season, when the Yankees went on and the Tigers didn't, I figured American League, I identify with my league. I'm going to root for the Yankees. And everybody in the neighborhood was down on the Yankees. Oh, they win all the time. So I'm 7. I go, they're supposed to win, right? So you're mad at them because they do what they're supposed to? That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So even in the Horace Clarke days, they caught their lunch, but I have a respect for the Yankees. And then whether it's right or not, and a lot of people say it's not, I follow the Red Sox. The Yankees and Red Sox are supposed to be rivals, but boy, those idiots that they played with in 204, I kind of hated that series, but they were a fun group of people, Johnny Damon and Kevin Millar and all the guys. So you learn some appreciation for that.
Well, show everybody real quick the polo you're wearing. You're rocking the Windy City Thunderbolts.
Yes, this is. My oldest son played 4 years of independent ball. He played for the Thunderbolts. He played for Wally Backman for 2 years. This is my South Georgia Peanuts hat. The whole league lasted 1 year, and the following year, I took my high school baseball team from suburban Chicago down and played in the same field. That was kind of fun. And then my son followed Wally up to Joliet when they were the Jackhammers. You've had the Slammers on before. So independent baseball has been part of it. You know, we go to the King County Cougars games. I go with my son to Timber Rattlers games. You know, my daughter and I have been to the New York Penn League, and we've been to the Carolina League, and we've been to the Midwestern League. So I've been to 30 stadiums, and some of them are a lot of pro major league stadiums, and most of them are closed. I went to the original Yankee Stadium. I went to Yankee Stadium when it was renovated, so they count that as different. I saw the Yankees play in Shea Stadium, and I saw them play in the new stadium.
Wow.
So I'm really an old guy who I wish I had kept tickets.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Jessica and I are going to be up in the Chicago area next year. Hopefully this thing all clears up. We'd love to take you to a game.
Well, you know, I appreciate that, because when you go see the Corn Belters, I've driven past that stadium so many times. I told my son, he's in the medical field and he doesn't want me traveling. I said, you know, I think I'm going to go down there. I'm going to meet this guy. He goes, you're not going anywhere. So, you know, that full circle, right? The son has become the father, and so I couldn't go, but you were there, and that counts. And because of what you do from the fans' perspective, I've been to Montana and I've been all around the country with you. I love when you have the people on who talk about the stadiums they've been to. And England, we had tickets. My son bought me tickets to go to the Cubs and Cardinals game.
Oh, no.
And Gillinghams are from England, so I started connecting with family, and we couldn't go. But the UK guys that you have on, I think anybody who pays attention to this show is going to get fed. You know, we worry about the C word, which is COVID or coronavirus or whatever anybody wants to call it, but it's connections and it's culture, and the game transcends time. And so that's what we want to think about. And when collegiate in the C word grows up, we're going to see local people playing. We're going to appreciate it more. A hot dog, as Scott said it the other day, what can you do to a hot dog? A hot dog is a hot dog. So you're going to go there. I like the pluck of Beloit Snappers. They're near us in Rockford. They're building a brand new stadium. Who knows if they're even going to have a team? But that's the commitment of the C community. And you guys bring that out. Anybody who listens to your show will be touched, will have an association and a connection because of the stuff you guys talk about.
Well, I do have two pieces of breaking news
All right.
I'd like to share while we're here. One of the things. What's that?
Kamala Harris?
No, not that. This is. I think this is bigger than that.
All right.
You know, let's get to. We do awards, and not only will you be our fan of the year, so we will have an award sent to you, but with your permission, we'd like to name that award after you. So every year they'll win the Don Gillingham Fan of the Year. Wow.
Yeah, we got to find a sponsor for that.
We'll work on it, but we just honestly, having you listen has been just a real big treat for us. It really has.
Well, from the fans' perspective, every time I hear it, I go, that is exactly right. I feel close to you guys, you know, and I appreciate it because it is the connection that's really there. I encourage, you know, I've told other people to plug into the show. I'm more of a radio guy, Ernie Harwell type guy, so I always listen on the podcast, but I'll tell everybody about the YouTube because we've got to build the community. I think we've got to stand against the owners, right? It's the people against the owners. Here's our chance to strike back.
I love it. Well, Don, thanks so much for taking the time and being on the show and continuing to listen.
Thank you, James.
And now, on to close it out, the right-hander from Houston, Texas, James Christopher.
So that does wrap us up for the first part of our 100th episode. Scott's still watching my back. I'll know if he dies out of the way. I won't die or will die. I don't know how tight we are. But no, this wraps up our first episode, the first part of our 100th episode. We're going to be back on Wednesday with some more guests, some more just kind of reflecting back on what has been a really crazy journey for all of us. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your work, the beginning of your work week. And until next time.